Hi, my lovelies. Thank you for spending time with me again. Tonight, I thought I would film from the safest place that I feel in my house, and that's in my room. I don't use my living room very often. On the weekends, I'll do all my kind of housekeeping routine and I'll turn my TV on and maybe listen to some music on it or a documentary or something. But this is my safe space. This is where I like to be the most. When I'm at work during the day, all I can think about, hold on, I'm going to lift you up just a little bit. All I can think about is coming home and being in my room. So I thought it would be the perfect place to have this conversation. And the conversation that I want to have tonight is about um, like your mental well being, right? So I have always had um, a lot of anxiety, and we probably all have, but it didn't have a name before. It was just, we were the unusual individuals that, you know, never went places or did things. I wasn't ever without invitation. That's not true. So when I was younger and we were, dirt poor and whatever, like you didn't get invited to things. Um, but even as I got older, I was just crippled by the thought of going somewhere where there might be strangers. And then, as I got older, work is filled with strangers. And even the people that like, you don't ever really know them. And I was always a people pleaser, and I always wanted to make sure that, everybody got the right impression of me or whatever. And, you don't make a good impression when you're trying to impress. So I had anxiety about that, tons of anxiety about that. And I never really knew that that's what it was. And then, I went through a lot of years where I had what they call reactive depression. Like it was always situational. I was always kind of but then I would have episodes of reactive depression and deep, dark holes of loneliness. And I know that you guys are familiar with these feelings. This place is for anyone who is alone or lonely or sad. But what I want to talk about today, because I was having a conversation earlier with someone that I'm incredibly close to, that is, you know, one of my most important people, about mental health. And I said, I never was in a position where I could, get talk therapy, right? That's the be all end all of like resolving your issues and getting resources so that you could better deal with the things that in your life caused you pain or anxiety or discomfort. And I didn't ever have that. I didn't ever have those resources to be able to access that. But over the years, I've always tried to work on myself to some degree, in some way um have the wherewithal. Like I've always been very self-aware too, almost to the point where throughout my life I've felt like I was watched, and what I was just hyper aware of everything that was going on, and even still to this day. So I was so anxiety stricken that I became agoraphobic, and to some degree I still suffer with that to this day. I get invited places by my children by my friends, and I don't always take them up on that. I don't always participate. Actually, I don't often participate, if we're being 100% honest. And I know that every day when I wake up, I'm already like, before my eyes are open, I'm taking what I call my my emotional temperature, right? How am I feeling today? And should I call in? Is my throat scratchy? Because I probably shouldn't be around patients if my throat is scratchy. Or uh, just trying to make sure that everything is as it should be, uh, if I'm going to go out there, in the world today. And uh, we don't even realize we're doing it. Your internal dialogue is just kind of constantly on for people who have internal dialogue. I do. And I have learned along the way, like, it's how you talk to yourself. And what I didn't used to do is treat myself like someone that I loved and cared for. I didn't speak kindly to myself. I didn't um, treat myself gently. You beat yourself up so many times in so many ways in life that we're kind of our own worst enemy. And I say that often because really it translates into so many different areas of your life. Um, so, yeah, there's meds out there for things. And, one of them, so I have a seizure disorder. And so I've taken some of the meds that they treat other psychological disorders with, also because with this seizure disorder, a lot of the medications make you very you're labile. You're very flat, right? You don't get too depressed. You don't get too reactive to things. So it's kind of a benefit. However, the flip side of it is you never really feel joy, and you can't get like stupid excited about something, and it steals your happiness. So it's a double-edged sword. I took it for seizures, but I have switched meds at times because I was like, I'm not a person anymore. Like I'm flat, 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 flat. And it made it incredibly difficult coming off of them, because then the reactive depression would come back, right? And so a situation would arise that would really upset me. So then I'm like 0 to 100. I can't deal with it in a way that's like reasonable, because the medication had dulled it for so long that now it was like a whole new thing all over again. But I couldn't take not being able to feel or express happiness or joy, or see the wonder in anything. So I'm not at all for 1 second telling people, don't take your meds, don't whatever. What I'm saying is, because of my seizure disorder and the fact that I also took things for depression, um, it I was over medicated. But medication aside is what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't take it. I'm not saying make any changes, whatever. Medication aside, even with medication, you still have to talk to yourself kindly. You have to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. And you kind of have to make yourself be brave too. Like, there's that saying out there, do something every day that scares you. I don't think that means jump off of mountains or go bungee jumping. For me, it was going to work. You're not going to miss today. You're fine. Once you get out there, it'll be okay. Once you get to work, like I would have times where I was so overwhelmed on the drive to work that I was like, I can't do this. I can't. I'm not going to be able to get through today. I'm not going to be able to, sorry, deal with the people I work with. I could love them, and I couldn't talk myself into the fact that it was going to be all right. And it was because I was allowing my fear to dictate how my life was going to be. And I have had some really wonderful employers who saw that even though, sometimes I would go through these periods where, I'm not going to lie, my attendance was not stellar. But once I got there, like I am a put your head down and work girl. I took pride in whatever it was that I was doing before I was a nurse. It was, working at the gas station, cleaning the laundromat, waiting tables. Like I'm a Jane of all trades. Like I laid cement for a summer. So, once I got there, I always was a hard worker. I always was very serious about whatever it was that I was doing. But to get there and to just feel like I was all right going and doing that was so difficult. And as I said in one of my other videos, like I burned bridges. I burned my own bridges from both sides. But, I have learned over time that it's okay to take my emotional temperature, and it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to be like filled with anxiety. I could still do whatever it was that I was going to do. And I love being a nurse. I love the patience and the headiness of it, the way that it's a problem to be solved. There's always a problem to be solved. I am a deep critical thinker, but when it came to me, I was crippled by this always having fear, right? So, I have learned, like, you have to talk to yourself as if you were listening to a friend. The thing about those of us who have depression and anxiety and whatever, we kind of always go outside of ourselves, and we want to help other people, and we give good advice, and a lot of it's based on our experience, but we have to start talking to ourselves like that friend that comes to us in need. And it's not natural. It doesn't come naturally. You just have to do it once, and then you have to do it again. And then it becomes the habit, the thing that you do for yourself, because if I don't love me, nobody else can, right? Now, I'm not saying that, oh, I love me every day and I struggle. I still struggle. But while I'm struggling, I make it a point to treat myself well. And I want you guys to take this, and I want you to do it once. Talk to yourself like you're giving advice to a friend. Sorry, my dog just jumped on the bed. Do take your meds. Do be kind to yourself. Do eat well, if you find that you go to the refrigerator for comfort. I was always, for many, many years, not always, for many years though, I was anorexic. So I would not allow myself um, that comfort of, nourishment and things like that. And that was part of it, is I would deny myself food. And, then you get to a point, you lose your appetite, you lose your hunger drive, you, you do a lot of messed up things to yourself. So, um, we're always going to get triggered. Life is never going to get any easier, and nobody's going to show up every day to be like, okay, sister, come on, let's do this. Or, okay, brother, come on, let's go. Let's get it moving. You have to think about the things in life that are important to you. And it doesn't mean they're not going to be hard. They're going to be so hard. But you just have to be brave once. Like, when you're in the middle of it, you just have to tell yourself, I just have to be brave once, this time. And then you do it every time. And that's how you get through it. Like I said, I'm always on at work, right? I'm in front of people and I'm talking and I'm presenting, I'm teaching, and it's hard sometimes. Like, I am in my head so much of the time, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let people know what I'm going through. I am going to put on my best face, and I am going to get up there with energy, and I'm going to wow them, and that's just the way it's going to be. And then I'm going to come home and I'm going to have a pounding headache, and I'm going to lock myself in my house, and I'm going to come into my room, and I'm going to spend every minute there that I can, aside from letting out my dogs and maybe grabbing something out of the fridge and coming back to my safe space, my bed. I mean, I have my jacket laying here from today. When I got home, I flipped it over the pillow that's on the passenger side of the bed. So it's not easy. It's not always easy. But just do it the one time. And then continue doing it the one time. I just have to do it this time. Tell yourself that. I just have to be kind to myself just this time. And when you continue to do that, it will become easier. I promise you. I promise you. I have been there. And it's still, like I mean, it chokes me up. Because it's still a struggle. I still deal with it on the regular. Nothing like I used to. So you have got this. You've got this. We're here. And, come and, be part of this ramshackle little community. It's like, I always thought of myself like anywhere that I would fit in would be like a little band of misfits. I'm okay with that. Like, I already know, like, I'm on the fringe. I always have been. So just come and get comfort from the content. It's not always going to be deep, and it's not always going to be, the best of topics. Some of them go over like a turd in a punch bowl. And, that just is what it is. But I am here because I want this community to be something that people can get comfort from, that people can get some, maybe some insight, but just to know that you're not alone. You're not alone. There are so many of us out there barely hanging on by a thread. And we've been hanging on by that same thread, so it's getting thinner all the time, for years. And we're pretending that everything's okay. And that's not wrong. It's okay. But you have to face yourself in the mirror. So face yourself with love and kindness and compassion. And never forget that you're the most important. Thank you. I am so glad you spent this time with me today. And please join me again. My bedroom talks, I think, will be the ones that I'm like, I need to feel safe doing this. So I appreciate you coming today and listening. And hopefully you do take something away. And hopefully it's helpful, because you don't always hear the things that you need to hear to help you gain a little insight. And I hope this did. Take your meds, treat yourself right, speak to yourself with love, be brave, do that thing that's scaring the ever-loving crap out of you, and then be proud. Be proud every time you hit a milestone and you make that next step. Thank you. I'll see you guys next time.